If you're a purely player, you're going to love hearing all of the crazy info that has been coming out here. Alright, to the 34% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We're going to be looking at your metagame breakdown here for the weekly report that the Road of the King kind of shares with the community here. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it has been very nice to see, like, even though, like, Tyr is, like, the most dominating deck really out of the OCG right now, you have a lot of other things kind of flowing around the pie chart here that has definitely kind of showed some diversity here. Now, with how bad the TCG format is, it's been a nice sigh of fresh air to kind of see some of the stuff that's going on here. So Tyr is your highest represented deck, like I said. Then you follow it up with Sprite Tri-Brigade. Now, Sprite Tri-Brigade, both decks have kind of been fighting for like top spots in like some of these higher tier events. It is kind of nice though to see some of those diversity points starting to show here. Now, your third most represented deck here, actually going to be tied with some others here, is actually going to be Adamantipator. So you're going to have the rock deck actually still doing its thing. Grass looks screener with, you know, your super heavy stuff. The fact that you get access to all of these different little engines here to show that this deck is still able to do its thing is nothing short of amazing. And then you follow it up with Bysteel basic good stuff. We're able to kind of synchro through some of these other option paths and then able to kind of capitalize on these parts and punish your opponent. It's absolutely amazing. And then you have two big new contenders here. You have purely, yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the little cat deck, or little evolution line, is actually doing its thing. You're starting to see that players are kind of turning their heads a little bit here. They're kind of looking around and going, huh, you know, like, this is actually kind of cool. You're actually kind of starting to see the players are taking a look at, you know, who knew that a basic unaffected cat would actually be like a crazy monster at the end of the day. And then the Labyrinth is basically, now that they've got access to Chaos Angel, you're definitely starting to see, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, more and more powerful answers being given to this. Yeah, when you can tune your stove to your big Labyrinth mommy and make, you know, the Chaos Angel to rain down chaos upon your opponent. It's very, very interesting. I mean, for the rest of your pie chart here, I mean, you've got Exorcist or Flounder, Kashtira. Valance did make a surprising appearance, which was really nice. And you're just going to kind of toggle on into, like, adventure good stuff and so forth. You have so many decks that are kind of spinning around in this format that it really shows the, like, they're in a good place. You know, I would say that it's not totally unheard of here that Rogue is able to kind of keep up, and that's a good thing. All right, we're going to pass on over to these interesting... All right, the first deck that they are referencing here is going to be the first place Tayo Trio Tournament, so 3v3. Now, we've definitely seen King of the Swamp just turn into an absolute monster. You know, with the banning of Kit Gallos, this deck needed to find new ways to kind of supplement the losses that it has felt. And what you've kind of seen is this deck has been forced to evolve in kind of an interesting way. I see that we're playing the Foolish Burial Goods in here, so you can drop down your trap cards and get some free searches. Outside of that, the Underworld Goddess is a little bit of an interesting inclusion choice in here. I would almost say, you know, free chicken tendies. You know, just go ahead and capitalize, start climbing on up here, and your opponent's going to be like, well, you know, what do I do at the end of the day to kind of deviate away from some of these more punishing things? And the answer is you can't really do anything. This tier deck is very, very, very straightforward, and this is what you like to see. Next up here are the beautiful, beautiful cookie cutter Sprite Tri-Brigade. Now, basically what you're going to do is you're going to use Tri-Brigade cards to start setting up what I would consider very consistent boards. Once you kind of start setting up those huge boards, you're going to go into such a leading position. Your opponent's not going to know really what to do. And if you want consistency, that's what you're going to get with this, all right? Like, the consistent answers that this deck kind of puts on the board are nothing short of amazing at the end of the day. And once again, I mean, you have different option trees and things that you can go down. You're like, do I want to make the Apo, well, ending on maybe double Dragon Lords, backed with, the Revolt to make the Shrine. It depends on how you open to at the end of the day. But you have so many cool lines to play with this deck. I think this was definitely one of the more interesting decks that I was personally excited about, just to kind of see come back into the competitive scene with new toys. Now we're gonna call this basically the Graveyard deck. Or this really does feel like Modern Era, like Earth something. So Grasslook Screener gives you the ability to basically convert and dump on your opponent. All the Earth Vernal Swift stuff is going to give you so many tutoring options for this deck. Like, if you want a deck with a crazy ceiling, this is it, honestly. Now, to answer the question, yes, Block Dragon does make this deck go around. We don't actually have Block Dragon here in the TCG, which is a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is kind of cool to see all of these moving pieces actually come together to make this monster pile actually work. And that, to me, is amazing, that you can see something like this actually function. Like, this is the hodgepodge crazy, like, go-to pile. Now, Punk Bysteel. So I have talked a little bit about this separately because I think that this deck is very, very crazy at the end of the day. Basically, you're going to use all of your Bysteel monsters to effectively control your opponent. Any sort of light and dark shenanigans that your opponent's going to try to pull off, you're not going to have it, all right? But the big thing here is you're going to have access to Chaos Ruler, which is going to be a free revive Chaos monster. And then you get the ability to climb up into the big old Bysteel Synchro monster, Das Patar, which will just disrupt your opponent. You also get access to, Psychic End Punisher. So many toolbox options that one deck shouldn't necessarily have access to is all kind of wrapped up. And then, of course, you get to cite your Shizu package to just detour and punish your opponent. Like, if you wanted a deck that was made to control the game and still capitalize on advantage, this is it. Now, we have Labyrinth good stuff. Now, the Labyrinth deck getting access to some new control options here. So what really made this deck so much better than it actually previously was? Well, now you get access to Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel opened up the door for this deck to be able to make generically any light or dark monster be a tuner. So now you can tune your non-tuner stove to your Labyrinth Mommy, giving you access to a very powerful monster. Stands at 3,500 attack points. Something that I didn't think that this deck needed was a boss monster that they could access for literally free. Now, you do see Phoenix Wing Blast down here in the side deck as a card that might be something that you might want to kind of keep an eye on here in the future. And I mean this when I say this, because if we start to see Labyrinth take off in the TCG, you're going to see a lot more people kind of take notice of this. And I mean, if the format slows down a little bit, it's worth it. Now, do keep in mind that they are citing the Labyrinth Field Spell down there. While Labyrinth Field Spell is good, considering the fact that the playstyle has slightly changed because of the inclusion of Chaos Angel now, it definitely does, once again, open up some new lines of play. So, also, I mean, you're playing the Shizu package in here as well, so you can kind of disrupt your opponent through shuffleback means. So, overall, not too bad. Now, the last list I want to talk about here is Purely. Purely is something that has recently taken off in the OCG, and it's only because they recently got their new support card out of Cyberstorm Access. The new Purely actually gives this deck the ability to kind of put two monsters on the field. Something that this deck formerly needed was the ability to be able to make the bigger Black Cat so it can, one, be impervious to the activated effects and the not once per turn bounce effect that it has going for it. Also, we now got draw cards for Purely. The ability to basically have those cards underneath and get you some free advantage during your opponent's turn, get you access to additional hand traps. Now, if you can draw into, like an Ash, a Maxi to continue to get into more stuff, It's going to be very good. Plus, maximizing on the trap card to punish your opponent is going to feel really good. You have so many different lines of free advantage that you can actually generate with this deck. It's actually kind of insane at the end of the day, just how free this deck really does feel now. So, what do you guys think about the current little interesting things to kind of take note of? There's so much more happening than just this. That's what really has made me very enjoying watching this format, is just seeing all these different things unfolding. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.